Hi, welcome to Wellness, and I am so excited to introduce our special guest, Lauren Kell. She is amazing. She's a functional nutrition coach as well as a fitness trainer. Lauren, tell us a little bit about what you do and where you work and everything.
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for having me today. I'm happy to be here with you guys. I currently work at a fitness studio for some fitness and wellness work that I do. And I'm also a biblical health coach. And I do that outside of the fitness studio on my own. So, yeah.
Awesome. And I'm going to tell you what, I have taken Lauren's workout classes and it's a gift. Like working out with you is a gift. I mean, you push our bodies to the point. I mean, you push our bodies beyond what we know we can do. But when you're done, you're like, wow, that was amazing. And I can't say that about other places I've
Aw.
been. So it's really amazing. Your workout classes.
Well, I appreciate Dr. Ashley sharing that. I am privileged to be aligned with a fitness studio that has a very unique expression, which is we work out to the beat of the music, but I'm surrounded by very talented instructors there as well. So I appreciate you saying
Yeah,
that. We also do personal training too. So that's been nice to get to know clients on the one-on-one in the fitness realm, as well as our nutrition program there. So
Yeah, and and Lauren and I, we've been friends for a long time, and it's great because we can always talk about nutrition and we bounce ideas off each other and just we really that's how our friendship between talking about fitness and our faith, and that was just really how our friendship evolved.
yeah.
And so let me ask you, because I mean, you're on both ends, right? Like I'm here and I see people and I do nutrition, but you're on both ends of fitness and nutrition. So you see the challenges people have trying to reach their weight loss goals or trying to get their body in better shape. Can you tell me a little bit about what you see and where you see the error is made?
Yeah, there's definitely a gap that needs to be bridged from like true wellness and the sort of frilly, the cute, the pretty side of getting into the size clothes that you want to get into, and so on and so forth. So this is why it has been great to see that broad spectrum from working, for example, hands on in a fitness studio with a group of people. And then in addition to that, the nutrition program that has evolved at that studio, but also moving into the functional, more clinical realm of health and seeing how, there's so much more beyond the surface that one could get to at a fitness studio that's highly necessary with like the work that you do. So we often see, so let's start at the fitness studio. Let's start with the person who has awareness around maybe a change that they need to make. Maybe they don't have their finger quite on what exactly that change needs to be, but they recognize something feels off in my body. I want to do something about it. I'm willing to make changes, but like, where do I start? So oftentimes that person will jump right into fitness. And that can be problematic, number one, because they don't know where deficiencies might lie. And they tend to go to like a feast or famine mentality where it's like, I'm all in, I'm going to overkill my system. I'm going to throw myself into fight or flight. And then I wonder, how did I get here? I maybe made a little bit of progress, but I've plateaued and even dipped below some vitality markers from where my starting point was. And this is where a fitness, like a gym, a surface level, like eat this, not that nutrition program is great, but you cannot get the results that you need to without utilizing some pretty significant diagnostics as well as biohacking markers and then testing to determine where specific systems are not performing where they need to be.
Right, because everybody's so unique, and that's the thing. They'll look on social media, right? And they'll see this perfect body they want to
Yeah.
achieve, and they think they just have to go do this, not realizing how important the nutrition end of things are, and are they eating what's right for their body.
Right.
And then, so in that, you see them come in feast or famine, let's talk about what that does to the hormones when your nutrition's not balanced and you're overworking out. Or it might not seem like maybe you're only working out 4 days a week, but your workouts are really intense. So it is overdoing it if your nutrition.
Yeah.
And what happens to the hormones?
Yeah, so I come from a very unique perspective in that not only do I exert myself professionally in this realm, but I was also somebody that did the wrong things as a participant before I started to work in this field. So when you come in, you have great intentions, your willpower is at its peak, and these people don't realize, especially like when they're coming in 6, 7 days a week, working out in the expression that Ashley was talking about, taking classes, they're training sometimes just as much or more than an elite athlete to a degree. Like we have clients that will come in and double up on classes and whatnot. And the instructors sort of like cringe to a degree because we know how important recovery is. So when you, especially if it's like cardio focused, like some people think that the only way to make progress is by running a marathon or only taking like very intense cardio classes. So we see that a lot where cardio is overemphasized and your heart rate is up so high. And a true marker of recovery is where your heart rate variability, what points it hits, and if it gets low enough, then you are in recovery. Well, more often than not, people don't have an understanding of that. They're not using the correct tools to become truly aware in their own body, and they just think more, go, go, go is what gets them there. Well, when you deplete your minerals over and over and over again, the body's stressed. When you're constantly lifting your heart rate over and over and over again without recovering, the body is stressed. Like we want to use these stressors in a controlled manner, like fitness, fasting, whatever. But if it's balls to the wall, go, 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 and you never are controlling the recovery component of those things, you're doing your body just as much of a disservice as you were before,
Right.
not harnessing those tools. So hormones can be impacted by overuse, overextension of systems in the body, especially cardiovascularly, to a point where your body goes into this pseudo starvation mode. And your body says, we've got to preserve general vitality. So we're going to cut off your reproductive capabilities because that's not necessary for life. And then you get into this spiral of pseudo starvation where the body just kind of goes into this sort of hibernation. And it can be, depending on who you are, what environmental factors you encounter, what your genetic predisposition is, you may not be able to recover those things.
Yeah. Sometimes you take your body so far. Like I had a client severely restricted calories at a time in her life for a while, and it affected bone loss. I mean, really getting that nutrition component is so important because what you do now will have such an effect later. Like so many young girls, they want to starve and not eat, and it's going to hit them in their late 20s, 30s, and so on. But you said something I really want to talk about because you utilize tools in your own practice to see what people need. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do and with the tools?
Yeah. So just from a generic standpoint, I mentioned like heart rate variability being a big factor in determining are you recovering appropriately from the controlled stressors you're engaging in. And one of the biggest markers is that heart rate variability or your O2 levels. Your O2 levels are directly correlated with heart rate variability. And if your O2 levels are off, then you're also not recovering properly. So a couple of tools that are out there on the market that I like these days, depending on what your budget is, are the R ring.
Yeah.
And Lumen, which is actually you breathe in and out of the device and it measures your O2 level. So the R ring is heart rate variability focused and the Lumen is O2. But they both, it's like two different methods to kind of read a similar metric,
Right.
if that makes sense. And it basically kind of helps you target the idea of like carb cycling to specifically address like where your body is, how it's utilizing fat and carbs. And then you're not blindly blanketing, okay, I'm going to carb cycle and on Mondays, I'm going to do this, Tuesdays, I'm going to do that. No, it's like you're measuring the direct components that impact where, more carbs or less carbs are necessary to get your body an optimal metabolic variability.
Which is going to increase your performance and increase your results.
And also draw awareness around where the gaps are, where recovery is missing.
Yeah.
And
It's so
so
important.
I would also venture to say, let's say you don't want to spend money on one of those cute little tools. So if we were to bottom line it in a couple bullet points on what one should pay attention to in what order, it would be light rhythms. So when are you going to bed? When are you waking up? And how long are you sleeping? Secondarily is amount of
Yep.
sleep.
How important this is.
Yeah. So if you do nothing else, like first two things is light rhythms, just start looking it up, research it, and then sleeping 7 to 9 hours a night, hands down. And then third, finally, we get to nutrition. And I think we often prop fitness up above nutrition, nutrition above sleep and light rhythms. And we're already kind of starting off behind and we're trying to play catch up and we don't even know what we need to catch up to. So 1 is light rhythms, 2 is sleep, 3 is nutrition and supplementation, 4 is how we're moving our body, 5 is lifestyle. What does your calendar look like? What are you rushing to? Are you creating downtime? What are you surrounding yourself with? That also means people, right? People can be toxic.
So important, especially in the holiday months, because it's a fun time, but it also can be a really stressful time for people. And depression is the highest. Heart attacks are the highest around this time. So yeah, absolutely.
I didn't realize that about heart attacks. That makes sense.
Yeah, I know. When I start looking back even at my family, I'm like, oh wow.
Yeah, November. I can definitely relate to that person. Yeah,
it's definitely a very stressful time. So who you are surrounding yourself with, what that does to your gut, how well are you absorbing once you have the stress. So you're right, it seems for most people they don't even think about those things and they are starting behind the line, which prevents them from getting the results and they get frustrated and they want to quit.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. And you were saying, I'm sorry, what was the last thing you said after?
Oh, just the lifestyle was like number 5, I think, on that list. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Were you gonna, and where would fitness come? Where do you think fitness?
Oh, fitness would definitely be in there before lifestyle, I would say. Like moving your body, like paying attention to how you're moving your body. Like movement really matters.
And even if it's walking, right? Like,
100%.
Let's talk about walking.
Yes.
We've had this conversation. Like, how underrated do people think walking is and how important it really is?
I would say it's 99% underrated. Yeah. It is the most functional way we can move our bodies. We were created to move about walking. Mm-hmm. And I would, I'm not downselling teaching fitness classes because that's fun and you're working out with people and that's important to have community. But walking, if you don't want to spend that extra money on certain things, go for a walk 30 minutes a day. And it doesn't have to be like a crazy, like one of those wild women that you sometimes see. Like, I don't mean to categorize women. I just don't generally see men with the arm weights or ankle weights and they're just pumping like crazy. Like, it doesn't have to be a 15-minute or less mile. Like, you could be walking an 18 to 20 minute mile and like enjoy the scenery and be fulfilling a lifestyle component too, right? Like being out in nature. And I don't know, where you're tuning in from across the country, but if you're in one of the places like we are, Pittsburgh, it's generally, I think the sun shines less than 40% of the time.
Wow, that's low.
And it's very cold, damp, dank this time of year. And you got to just put a little extra elbow grease into getting outside. So walking, hands down, do it. You got to do it. And also too, like we see a lot of people, especially outside of like just fitness, nutrition, more in the clinical wellness, functional health, people are dealing with cholesterol numbers that are subpar, right? Mm-hmm. And I've specifically been working with a couple of clients in that clinical world where they're trying to lower their bad cholesterol numbers, but they also want to lose weight. And they tend to focus more on the weight loss than, how they can integrate like their physical fitness with mobilizing the triglycerides in the body to get rid of the bad cholesterol. So that's been something that's really cool is you provide little nuggets of awareness for someone who's learning and carving their own way in their journey, bite size at a time. Then they kind of get hooked, right? You get hooked to what you feel good doing.
And those little bite sizes, what is that progress over perfection? Because
the
it's
onion.
It really is. It's pulling those layers off. I was just talking about that earlier. And it's not an overload of information, which people sometimes can say that this is overwhelming, I don't want any part of it. But if
Right.
they start with weight loss. And I know all of you have always heard me say that weight loss is just a symptom of something else going on. But that's okay if that's what they're in there for. And you just show them and you're actually showing them how their body's really healing.
Right, right. And often too, like, especially if you're newer to the journey of just exploring your well-being, you come in with that like bottom line goal, and then you maybe reach some metrics that you've set for yourself as far as goals go. And then you go, oh, wait, now I see all of this below the surface that needs my attention. Some people get discouraged with that. But at the end of the day, that's actually the biggest blessing, because you're cultivating a practice of never being satisfied or complacent. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean it in this like healthy curiosity. And that's like, we want to be in it for the long haul. We want to be like always willing to grow and address issues. And, that's like step one on your journey, that stepping stone of maybe losing the weight. And then the blinders come off, the foggy goggles are lifted, and you see more clearly, right? So it's like those nuggets of awareness provide the ability to then see more clearly. And clarity at the end of the day is like all we can ask for,
Right.
because with clarity, then we know what steps need to be taken to move towards the next layer of our goals.
Yep. And it's so true. Like, I'm always on the hunt for to feel optimal,
Yeah.
right? Because when you feel that way, there's nothing you can't do. Whatever the plan is, the goal is, you're able to do it with everything.
Exactly. And if you think about it, like Ashley and I both align from the faith-based perspective, we've realized like you can do all these things in the physical body, but if we aren't abiding in the ultimate truth, like that's a huge missing piece of our well-being. But also, if your physical state keeps you bogged down, then you'll also potentially have spiritual blinders. And I'm not saying that we don't deal with curveballs or things that are negative in this life that, are in front of us that help us cultivate perseverance and things that are really great. But at the same time, we have to address the physical so that we can take also spiritual blinders off too, because if we just are stuck in that loop of lowliness in the physical body, we're limiting, our ceiling keeps getting lower for what we can experience in linking arms with, the community around us to do the things that ultimately eternally matter. So.
Absolutely. And that's what I always say I do a wellness group at church, and we talk about that. It's not so weight loss so you look good in clothes. It's so you feel well, your body is healthy, and you can do what you've been called to do,
right?
And be able to do it and feel good doing it. It's really hard when you feel lousy to continue on.
Yeah.
It's really, I had a talk with a very young girl, high school age, and talking about just getting some things together for her health, because there's some things that are happening that it's causing her, a lot of discomfort. And she was like, this is really hard. And I'm like, but being sick is even harder, and it's really time consuming. And this will become a way of life. It's just different. And even though things might be uncomfortable is good.
Yeah.
That pushes us. That's where growth happens.
Yeah.
And it's just getting over that, because it's really easy to go through a fast food restaurant. It's really easy to buy food that's already pre-made and, with things that are the quality of ingredients are not good. It's very easy to do that. The challenge is going and buying the food and cooking the food.
Right.
And, it's not hard. It's just time consuming. And maybe you're coming off sugar or coming off something, so there's some discomfort, but how good you're going to feel.
Absolutely.
The light at the end of the tunnel.
And I think people often, you have 10 minutes.
Okay. Thank you. I know, I was wondering.
I think people often get lost in setting goals that probably don't, like, alignment's really important when you're trying to embark on either your first journey or enhance a wellness journey. Alignment with what ultimately matters and your goals have to be in place. Otherwise, you're going to be setting these goals that are unattainable.
Yeah.
And the barrier to entry, like the systems in place, don't match your ability to execute and hit the steps that it takes to get to the goal. So for example, let's say you recognize the benefits of infrared sauna. You go on Amazon and you buy one of those $250 little tents. I have one at home. and you put it in a place in your house that is your least favorite place that you never go to, and you're like, it's safely stored, not in anyone's way, and I'm going to do it. You're never going to do it.
Yeah.
So put it in, I don't know, your bedroom, your office, whatever. Create systems in place so that you can actually get in that sauna and then not look at it 7 months down the road and say, I've never used it. And I think people will do the same thing about like healthy eating, right? They set all these like Martha Stewart level goals of how they're going to cook. And maybe they work 12-hour days and they don't have 3 hours in the kitchen to make XYZ. Maybe you're just going to prepare a really great, clean piece of protein. You're going to roast a vegetable and you're going to, I don't know, saute up plantains or something.
Are delicious.
Yeah. So like you have to recognize what your boundaries and limitations are so that you aren't going way to the moon on things that really don't matter in the end. Who cares what your plate looks like?
Right. That's so true, because when you have these huge expectations, you're only setting yourself up to fail. But if you can do the little things, and I love the idea of putting the sauna in the room you go to. That's so true.
Yeah.
And it is those little things that matter. So if you start like, some people are like, I hate vegetables. Like, oh, you got to try them differently.
Right.
And have fun, experiment. Like, don't be afraid to try.
This is your forte. She's so good in the kitchen, and I'm not. So,
but you make very good food. Like, everything you eat is super clean. Like, I'll be like, oh, what are you eating for lunch?
but you always are good with spicing it up and making sure it actually tastes good.
But you know where I run into trouble? When I'm busy, because then I love to cook when I have time. I enjoy it. It's like therapeutic. But when I'm busy and rush, it never comes out as well. And you know what? Because there isn't love going into it. You have to have love in the food.
Yeah,
it makes a difference.
Yeah, it does.
But you're right. Just having things that like maybe switching out, instead of having French fries, switching it out for sweet potatoes.
Start small and then keep it so it's incremental and it's not overwhelming. This is hard work, like you said.
It is.
And we've been at it for over a decade, maybe 2 decades. Like, this is not the first time we've been around the sun trying to focus on this kind of stuff.
And we sought this out because of our own health issues. And that was really where the passion came.
Right. You recognize how important it is and that it's necessary for so many other people. We got to get it out there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so important. And just being able to share the information. But before we close, I really want to thank you so much for coming out here, because you just have so much good information. I'd love to have you back out doing more.
Always. I'll hang out with you anytime.
I know. I love it. I'm like, you need to go get some coffee.
Yeah.
But I want you to just, tell anybody whatever you want anybody to know about you, what you do, whatever you would like to add in.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I work for a local fitness studio in the area. I do fitness nutrition there, and on my own through virtual, and if it makes sense, in person, health and wellness coaching through Nourish, Grow, Heal is the business. But also, it's not about me, it's about you. So at the end of the day, hopefully you remember those 5 markers where it's light rhythms, sleep, nutrition, fitness, wellness, lifestyle. So if you can just pick like one little incremental thing in each of those areas that you can start to focus on in your own day to day, I think that you'll be well on your way to like a better version of you. And I hope that for you very much.
That was awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you all for joining. I hope you took notes, but if not, you can hit replay, or you can contact Lauren. And we are down here in Green Tree at World of Wellness. So thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye.